Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that the greatest legacy you will ever leave behind is not in your bank account, not in the walls of your home, not even in the work you've built, but in the eyes of your child. Imagine that every word you speak, every choice you make, every ounce of presence you bring is shaping a soul that will carry your love, or your absence of it, into the world. The essence of being a good father is not found in perfection, but in the love, patience, and presence that live long after you are gone. When you think about what it means to be a good father, it is easy to picture providing, protecting, guiding, and teaching. Those are the roles that society has often placed on fathers. But the essence of being a good father is not found only in the outer roles or the responsibilities that we can check off a list. It is found in the inner space we create, the presence we bring, and the love we extend without conditions. Children don't remember much of what we buy them. They remember how we made them feel. And being a good father begins with being willing to see your child as a soul on its own journey, not as an extension of your will or your ego. There is a temptation, especially for fathers, to believe that our children are ours to shape, to mold, to direct according to our vision of life. But the truth is, they come through us, not from us. They carry their own essence, their own light, their own divine spark. A father's highest calling is to nurture that spark, to protect it when the world threatens to dim it, and to honor it even when it looks different from what we imagined. This requires humility, patience, and above all, love that does not bind but liberates. A good father is not a man who has all the answers. He is a man who is willing to walk with his child while both of them discover the questions. Life is not about handing over a manual and saying, "Here, this is how it's done." Life is about demonstrating through the way you live what integrity looks like, what compassion feels like, and what resilience truly means. When a child sees his father handle challenges with grace, he learns something no lecture could ever teach. When a daughter witnesses her father listening to her with full presence, she feels a sense of worth that no achievement could ever replace. We live in a culture that prizes achievement and success, and many fathers fall into the trap of thinking their role is to push their children toward those external markers. But what children need most is not pressure to succeed, but permission to be curious, to make mistakes, to dream, to fail, and to try again. A good father creates an environment where a child feels safe enough to unfold naturally. He does not push the flower open. He waters it, places it in sunlight, and waits patiently for the bloom to arrive in its own time. One of the greatest gifts a father can offer his child is the gift of presence. Presence is not about being in the room while your mind is somewhere else. Presence is the sacred art of being fully here. When you are present, your child feels seen. When you are present, your child learns that they matter, not because of what they do, but simply because they are. Too often, children grow up around parents who are distracted by work, by worries, by the endless noise of the world. The greatest father is the one who can quiet that noise, even for a moment, and say with his attention, "You are the most important person to me right now." It is easy to confuse control with guidance. Control comes from fear that the world will hurt your child, fear that your child will make a mistake, fear that they will not live up to the vision you hold. But guidance comes from trust. Trust in life itself, trust in your child's inner wisdom, trust that the same source that brought them here will also guide them through. A father who trusts his child does not need to dominate or dictate. He becomes instead a steady hand, a supportive presence, a gentle whisper that says, "I believe in you, even when you stumble." Children learn not from what we say, but from who we are. If you want to teach your child kindness, you must practice kindness. If you want to teach honesty, you must live honestly. If you want to teach them how to love, you must demonstrate love not just to them, but to their mother, to strangers, to yourself. Being a good father is less about lectures and more about example. It is about embodying the qualities you wish to see reflected back to you in the next generation. Many men believe that being a good father means sacrificing everything: dreams, passions, even joy for their children. But a depleted father cannot give what he does not have. To be a good father, you must also honor your own life, your own spirit, your own growth. When your children see you pursuing what lights you up, they learn that it is safe for them to do the same. When they see you take time for stillness, for reflection, for nurturing your body and mind, they learn balance. Self-love is not selfish. It is the foundation upon which all other love is built. The essence of being a good father is not perfection. Perfection is an illusion that only breeds guilt and shame. The essence of fatherhood lies in authenticity. When you make mistakes, and you will be willing to admit them. Apologize when you are wrong. Show your children that being human is not about never falling, but about how you rise after you fall. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the language of connection. And when a child sees his father being real, he learns that he too can be real without fear of rejection. To be a good father is to recognize that you are not just raising a child, you are raising a future adult, a future parent, a future friend, a future leader. Everything you pour into them ripples outward into the world. If you want to contribute to peace, start with the way you speak to your child. If you want to build a kinder society, model kindness at home. If you want your child to be courageous, let them see you act in courage even when it is hard. The world is shaped not in great speeches or grand gestures, but in the quiet daily exchanges between parent and child. Do not underestimate the power of small moments. The bedtime story, the shared laugh at the dinner table, the walk through the park, the unexpected hug. These moments are the threads that weave the fabric of your child's inner world. Years from now, they may not remember the lessons you tried so hard to teach, but they will remember how you made them feel in those ordinary moments. Did they feel safe? Did they feel valued? Did they feel loved? These are the memories that shape the foundation of a child's soul. A good father also understands that love is not conditional. It is not given when grades are good, when behavior is proper, when the child fits neatly into the mold. Love must be steady, unwavering, present even when the child disappoints, even when they rebel, even when they walk a path you would not have chosen. Conditional love teaches children that their worth depends on performance. Unconditional love teaches them that their worth is inherent. And when a child knows they are loved without condition, they carry a strength within them that no failure, no rejection, no hardship can destroy. To father well is to serve as a mirror. Children look into us to see who they are. If your mirror reflects only criticism, they will see themselves as inadequate. If your mirror reflects only indifference, they will feel invisible. But if your mirror reflects acceptance, encouragement, belief, and love, they will grow into people who carry those same qualities into the world. And the world is desperate for more people who embody love, kindness, and compassion. Ultimately, the essence of being a good father is not about what you give materially, but about who you are spiritually. It is about choosing every day to love fully, to listen deeply, to guide gently, and to trust completely. It is about remembering that your role is not to shape your child into what you think they should be, but to honor who they already are. It is about walking beside them with reverence for their unique journey, knowing that the love you give today will echo in generations yet to come. And when we begin to see fatherhood in this way, it becomes less about what we achieve as parents and more about who we are willing to become in the process. Fatherhood is not a static role. It is an evolving practice of love, patience, and transformation. Every stage of a child's life calls forth something new in us. When they are small, it calls for gentleness and attentiveness. When they grow, it calls for guidance and the balance between freedom and boundaries. When they mature, it calls for respect for their independence. A father who sees this journey clearly understands that being a good father is not about fixing a child into a version of ourselves, but about allowing life itself to unfold through them in its own rhythm. There will be times when your children challenge you, times when they do not listen, times when they make choices that hurt themselves or even you. In those moments, the easy path is to respond with anger, to try to control or force compliance. But the deeper calling is to respond with understanding, with patience, with a steady love that does not waver in the face of mistakes. For it is in those moments of difficulty that children need the reassurance of love the most. They need to know that their worth is not diminished by their missteps, that your love is not a prize to be earned, but a truth that cannot be taken away. There is a profound humility in realizing that your children are not here to live your life for you, nor to fulfill your unmet dreams. They are here to live their own destiny, to experience their own path, to learn through their own challenges. To be a good father is to release the need to live vicariously through your child, and instead to celebrate their individuality. It is to support them even when their passions do not align with yours, even when their choices confuse you, even when their dreams seem impossible. A father who gives his child the freedom to be themselves gives them a gift more precious than gold, the gift of authenticity. It is also important to recognize that children are our teachers as much as we are theirs. When a child arrives in our life, they bring with them opportunities for us to grow in ways we could never have predicted. They test our patience, yes, but they also awaken our tenderness. They challenge our certainty, but they also open us to curiosity. They break open our hearts, sometimes painfully, but in doing so they expand our capacity for love. A father who is willing to learn from his children, who sees them not just as pupils but as guides, discovers wisdom that no book or classroom could ever offer. To be a father is to hold space. It is to create an environment where your child feels free to express who they are without fear of judgment. It is to listen more than you speak, to seek to understand more than to be understood. It is to let your child's voice matter, even when it is small, even when it is clumsy, even when it challenges your own beliefs. The father who listens with an open heart teaches his child that their thoughts have value, that their feelings are valid, and that their presence in this world is meaningful. One of the most powerful ways a father can shape his child's life is through the way he loves their mother, whether they are together or apart. The respect, kindness, and integrity you show in that relationship become the blueprint your children carry into their own future partnerships. Sons learn from you how to treat women, and daughters learn from you what to expect from men. Your children are watching always, and what they witness in the way you love sets a standard that lasts far beyond childhood. A good father also understands the importance of laughter. Life is serious, yes, but it is also joyful. When you laugh with your children, when you play, when you allow yourself to be silly, you teach them that joy is sacred. You teach them that it is not only acceptable, but necessary to embrace delight in the small things. A child who grows up laughing with his father carries with him a resilience that no hardship can extinguish. For laughter is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of hope. Patience is another hallmark of fatherhood. Children will not always move at your pace. They will not always understand as quickly as you'd like, and they will often stumble as they learn. The temptation is to hurry them, to demand that they meet your timetable. But patience says, I trust you to find your way. Patience communicates love in silence, understanding in frustration, and grace in imperfection. The child who is met with patience grows into an adult who extends patience to others, and the ripple of that gift reaches far into the world. There is also the matter of discipline, which is often misunderstood. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is teaching, guiding, and modeling. It is the act of showing a child that their actions have consequences, but those consequences are not a measure of their worth. True discipline comes from love, not anger. It is about boundaries, not control. It is about helping your child understand the harmony between freedom and responsibility. When a father disciplines with compassion rather than harshness, he creates a foundation of respect rather than fear, and respect endures, fear fades into resentment. A father's words carry great weight. What you say and how you say it can echo in your child's heart for decades. Words of encouragement can lift them to heights they never believed possible, while words of criticism can scar them deeply. Choose your words carefully, for they are seeds. Plant seeds of belief, seeds of courage, seeds of love, and watch as they grow into a garden of confidence and strength within your child. A good father speaks with intention, knowing that his voice becomes the inner voice his child will carry into adulthood. Generosity is another essential quality. Not merely generosity of material things, but generosity of time, generosity of spirit, generosity of forgiveness. To be generous with your attention is to show your child that they are valued. To be generous with your forgiveness is to show them that mistakes do not define them. To be generous with your love is to fill them with a sense of security that cannot be shaken. A generous father is a wealthy father, for he gives his child treasures that can never be lost. Perhaps most of all, being a good father requires trust. Trust in life, trust in your child, trust in the invisible hand that guides us all. There will be moments when you cannot see the path ahead, when your child is walking into unknown territory, when your instinct is to cling tightly, but trust whispers, let go. Allow them to grow, allow them to fall, allow them to rise. Trust is not passive. It is an active choice to believe in the unfolding of life. A father who trusts teaches his child to trust themselves, and this trust becomes the foundation of confidence. Fatherhood is, in truth, a spiritual practice. It is the daily surrender of ego, the daily practice of presence, the daily act of choosing love over fear. It is not something to be perfected, but something to be lived. Each day offers a new opportunity to embody patience, to extend kindness, to demonstrate resilience. Each day is another chance to remind your child, by word and by deed, that they are loved beyond measure. And as you walk this path, you begin to realize that the essence of being a good father lies not only in what you give to your children, but also in what they awaken within you. They invite you to rediscover wonder, to slow down, to marvel at the simple beauty of existence. They invite you to heal your own childhood wounds by offering them the love you may have longed for. They invite you to grow beyond yourself, to see beyond your own needs, to live for something greater. In this way, Fatherhood is not just about raising children. It is about raising yourself into the highest expression of who you are meant to be. And so every time you look into your child's eyes, remember you are not only guiding a life, you are witnessing a miracle. Every time you hold their hand, remember you are not only protecting them, you are connecting with eternity. Every time you choose patience over anger, presence over distraction, love over fear, you are not only shaping your child, you are shaping the world. And when you choose to see fatherhood as a miracle rather than a burden, something remarkable begins to happen. The ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. The sleepless nights, the endless questions, the worries and responsibilities, these no longer feel like obstacles to endure, but invitations to love more deeply. Every moment becomes an opportunity to practice patience, to embody compassion, and to remind yourself of the sacred role you play in shaping not just a child, but a soul who has come into this world with its own purpose. A father who embraces this truth begins to understand that he is not here to carve his children into statues of his own design, but to walk alongside them as they discover who they already are. He becomes less of a sculptor and more of a gardener, planting seeds, offering nourishment, protecting them from storms, and allowing them to grow in their own direction. The garden of a child's soul cannot be forced into symmetry. Its beauty lies in its wildness, its unpredictability, its individuality. A good father learns to marvel at that uniqueness, even when it confuses him, even when it challenges the plans he once held. It is easy to measure our worth as fathers by the visible outcomes, the grades on a report card, the trophies on a shelf, the achievements that can be displayed. But the true measure lies in the invisible, the confidence a child carries into the world, the kindness they extend to others, the resilience with which they face setbacks, the joy with which they embrace life. These are not built in grand gestures, but in the consistent presence of love day after day. A child does not need perfection, they need connection. And connection is born from the simple choice to be fully there again and again. There will be times when life pulls you in many directions, when work demands responsibilities, and the noise of the world compete for your attention. But what your child longs for most is not a perfect house, a bigger car, or even the most prestigious opportunities. What they long for is you. Your voice, your eyes, your attention, your love. They long to know that in a world of endless distractions, they are your priority. When you give them that gift, you are offering something no material possession can replace, the assurance that they matter deeply and unconditionally. One of the most profound lessons a father can teach is that of integrity. Children have a natural ability to sense truth. They watch not only what you say, but what you do. They notice when your actions align with your words, and they notice when they do not. To live with integrity is to become a living example, a guidepost for your children as they navigate a world full of contradictions. Integrity does not mean you never falter. It means that when you falter, you are willing to admit it, to correct it, to rise again with honesty. And when your children see this, they learn that integrity is not about perfection, but about truthfulness. There is also a tenderness required in fatherhood that many men hesitate to embrace. The world often teaches that strength means stoicism, that vulnerability is weakness, that emotions should be buried. But children thrive not on distant strength, but on tender love. When a father allows himself to show affection, to express love openly, to weep when he feels sorrow, to celebrate with joy, he teaches his children that emotions are safe, that humanity is not something to be hidden but embraced. And when children grow up in such an environment, they become adults who are not afraid to feel, to love, to connect. A father's role is also to be a guide through uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, full of change and challenge. A child will face disappointment, loss, and hardship, and in those moments, they will look to their father. Not for someone who has all the answers, but for someone who has faith. Faith not necessarily in religion, but faith in life itself. Faith that storms pass, that wounds heal, that tomorrow holds possibility. A father who carries faith in the unseen teaches his children not to fear the unknown, but to walk into it with courage and trust. In every stage of fatherhood, patience is tested. There will be tantrums, misunderstandings, rebellion, and moments when you feel unappreciated. But these are not failures, they are invitations. Invitations to grow in your own capacity for love, to stretch beyond the limits of your ego, to practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is not only for your child, but also for yourself. There will be days when you feel you fell short, when you lost your temper, when you missed an opportunity to connect. Forgive yourself, just as you forgive them. For in forgiveness, love is renewed and the bond between father and child deepens. The journey of fatherhood is also a journey of legacy. Not legacy in the sense of wealth or property, but legacy of spirit. What kind of person are you shaping through your presence? What values are you planting? What memories are you leaving behind? Long after material things fade, what will remain in your child's heart is the memory of how you loved them. Did you encourage their dreams? Did you stand by them in their struggles? Did you celebrate who they were, even when it was different from who you imagined? That is the legacy that endures, the legacy that ripples through generations. There is immense power in listening. To truly listen to your child is to honor their existence. When you listen without judgment, without rushing to correct, without trying to fix, you communicate that their voice matters. And in a world that often silences or diminishes children, that gift is invaluable. A child who grows up feeling heard becomes an adult who believes their voice matters, and they, in turn, listen deeply to others. Listening is an act of love, a subtle yet profound way of saying, I see you. You belong, you matter. A father also teaches by the way he treats himself. If you speak to yourself harshly, if you live in self-doubt, if you neglect your own well-being, your children absorb those lessons. But if you honor yourself, if you speak kindly to yourself, if you pursue your passions, they learn that self-love is natural and necessary. Many fathers believe that sacrificing themselves entirely is an act of love, but a father who is whole, fulfilled, and alive with purpose gives his children something greater, the example of a life lived fully. In caring for yourself, you are not neglecting them. You are empowering them. Gratitude is another lesson that transforms fatherhood. When you live with gratitude, your children learn to see the beauty in life, even in small things. When you pause to appreciate the sunset, the laughter at the dinner table, the quiet moments of togetherness, your children learn that joy is not found in what we acquire, but in how we see. Gratitude shifts the focus from scarcity to abundance, from complaint to celebration. And when children grow up surrounded by gratitude, they carry a lightness of spirit that no circumstance can dim. Perhaps one of the most beautiful aspects of being a father is watching your children grow into their independence. It can be bittersweet, wanting to hold them close yet knowing you must let them go. But releasing them is not losing them. It is trusting that the love you have given them will guide them as they step into their own lives. Letting go does not mean absence. It means standing back with faith, ready to support when needed, but willing to let them walk their path. And in doing so, you give them wings while reminding them that your love is always a home they can return to. In the end, fatherhood is a sacred dance between holding on and letting go, between guiding and trusting, between teaching and learning. It is not a task to complete, but a journey to embrace. Each moment, each challenge, each joy is part of that journey. And when you live it with love, patience, presence, and faith, you not only raise children, you awaken within yourself the essence of what it means to be human. And when you allow yourself to awaken to what it truly means to be human through fatherhood, you begin to see that this role is not only about what you do for your children, but also about the energy you bring into their lives. Children are sensitive to energy. They feel it even before they can understand words. They sense when you are calm and open, and they sense when you are distracted or closed. They respond not only to what you say, but to the vibration you carry in your presence. To embody peace, to cultivate patience, to live in alignment with love, these are the gifts that flow silently from father to child without a single word being spoken. Your child does not need you to be flawless. They need you to be real. They need to see that even when life gets difficult, you do not give up. They need to witness that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward in spite of it. They need to see that kindness is not weakness, but strength in its purest form. Every moment you live authentically becomes a lesson they carry, even if they are unaware of it. Long after your words fade, the example of your life remains etched into their being. There is a sacred responsibility in fatherhood to protect not only the body of your child, but also their spirit. The world will sometimes try to harden them, to tell them they are not enough, to press them into molds that suffocate their essence. A good father stands as a guardian of that essence. He reminds his child that they are already complete, already worthy, already enough. He does not measure them against the standards of society, but honors them as they are. And by doing so, he gives them the freedom to walk into the world with unshakable confidence in their inherent value. Patience is often tested most in the small, repetitive tasks of daily life. Tying shoes, helping with homework, answering endless questions, repeating instructions. It can feel tedious, even exhausting. Yet these small acts are the building blocks of connection. To a child, they are not small at all. They are the moments that shape their sense of security and belonging. When you meet these moments with patience instead of frustration, you teach your child that they are worth your time, worth your effort, worth your love. And that lesson stays with them long after the shoes are tied and the homework is finished. There is also an art to balancing firmness with compassion. Boundaries are essential for children to feel safe, but boundaries without compassion become cages. Compassion without boundaries becomes chaos. The essence of fatherhood is found in the balance, guiding with a steady hand, yet always with kindness. When a child knows that rules are rooted in love rather than control, they do not rebel against them, they understand them. They learn that structure is not restriction but support, and that freedom is best experienced within the safety of love. Another dimension of fatherhood is teaching resilience. Life will inevitably bring trials, and a father cannot protect his children from every hardship. What he can do is model resilience. When challenges come, do you collapse in despair, or do you rise with courage? Do you blame others, or do you take responsibility? Do you see obstacles as barriers, or as invitations to grow? Your child is watching, learning, absorbing. The way you face your challenges becomes their blueprint for how they will face theirs. When they see you persist with faith and strength, they learn that they too can rise after falling. A good father also understands the power of silence. Not every moment needs words. Sometimes what a child needs most is not advice, not instruction, not correction, but simple presence. To sit beside them, to hold them, to share the silence without judgment. This speaks louder than any lecture. Silence becomes a sacred space where love is felt beyond words. And in that silence, your child learns that connection is not always about doing, but about being. Being together, being present, being open. It is important, too, to honor the individuality of each child. No two children are alike, even in the same family. Each has their own temperament, their own passions, their own rhythm. The temptation is to compare, to measure one child against another, or against an external standard. But comparison wounds the spirit. When you honor your child as they are, without trying to fit them into another's mold, you free them to flourish in their own uniqueness. And in that freedom, they discover the joy of being themselves. A father's love is also expressed in encouragement. Children often doubt themselves. They wonder if they are capable, if they are enough. Your voice can be the difference between their giving up or continuing. Your belief in them can become the foundation of their own belief in themselves. When you say, "I believe in you," you plant a seed that can carry them through the darkest nights. Encouragement does not mean empty praise. It means recognizing effort, celebrating growth, and affirming their worth regardless of outcome. There is also the role of humility. A father who believes he knows everything, who refuses to admit mistakes, who demands unquestioned authority, builds walls rather than bridges. But a father who is humble, who is willing to apologize, who is open to learning, teaches his children a profound lesson. That strength and humility walk hand in hand. Humility invites connection. It tells your child, "I am human, just like you. I am learning, just like you." And that humility deepens the bond between father and child, creating a relationship rooted not in fear, but in mutual respect. Compassion extends beyond the family. The way you treat others, the waiter at the restaurant, the stranger on the street, the neighbor who disagrees with you, teaches your child what it means to be human. They are watching how you respond to the world. Do you meet others with kindness or judgment? Do you extend patience or irritation? Do you see the humanity in others even when it is difficult? These daily choices become silent teachings, shaping the way your child will see and interact with the world around them. Gratitude, too, is a lesson best taught through example. When you complain constantly, your child learns dissatisfaction. When you appreciate what you have, your child learns contentment. Gratitude is not about ignoring struggles, but about choosing to focus on the blessings within them. To pause and say, "Thank you," even for the smallest things, is to show your child that joy is always available. And when they grow up with gratitude as their compass, they carry a light that can weather any storm. There is no greater gift a father can give than unconditional love. Conditional love says, "I love you when you succeed, when you behave, when you meet my expectations." Unconditional love says, "I love you simply because you are." Children who receive unconditional love grow with courage, and knowing they are safe even when they fail, even when they disappoint, even when they stumble. That security becomes the soil in which confidence and compassion grow. Unconditional love is not indulgence, it is strength. It does not spoil a child, it strengthens them because they know their worth is not tied to performance. As time passes, you may find that your children teach you as much as you teach them. They remind you to see the world with wonder, to laugh freely, to live in the moment. They mirror back to you both your light and your shadows, inviting you to grow, to heal, to expand. To embrace fatherhood fully is to accept this invitation, to see it not only as a responsibility, but as a path of personal transformation. Every challenge, every joy, every moment with your children is an opportunity to become more patient, more loving, more alive. And in this way, fatherhood becomes not just something you do, but something that shapes who you are. It awakens you to the deeper truths of life, that love is the only thing that endures, that presence is the greatest gift. That connection is the true measure of success. Your children will carry these truths forward, passing them on to their own children, and in that way, the love you live today ripples out into eternity.